Hi, Daddy. What you doing?
You doing the regatta shuffle right now? Oh, a little scullin' and scoopin', some count style and thing. Well, let's go. Skull with your left foot. Skull with your right.
Look at this guy. Well, hello, JP.
I can't hear you for some reason.
Serious?
I think my headpiece is going out. Hold on a sec.
Okay.
So what? It's the Ants and JP show today.
I,
Hi
I
guys, welcome to the
mean,
summer. Dyson and I couldn't be here tonight because technical difficulties, and that boy Kent Bazard. Who knows? He's just not reliable anymore.
you can hear me
So
now?
the only ones that show up is me and that one. So that's it.
That's plenty, though.
We live, like, what are you at?
I don't know. How you doing this Sunday?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Getting ready for vacation on Tuesday.
Ooh, exciting. Wait, remind me, where you going this time?
All over the place. I'll
Hey!
be somewhere in Central America. I have a month and a half vacation I'm going for.
Ooh,
See?
nice.
There you go. Captain
There he
Reliable.
is.
He just showed up.
Welcome to the show, Dr.
Nigga, I was watching you all getting off.
Hey,
Talking garbage.
listen, I'm going to log out and
Mhm.
log on again
Mhm.
because for some
Uh-huh.
reason the volume's super low. And I can't
Oh,
hear you all.
What happened to the boss? Where's the boss at?
I don't know. He was here.
Oh,
He would have had to be the one to bring us in, right?
yeah.
Y'all know that Dyson, right?
How y'all doing in any event?
You mean all is well. How about you, Dr. Kent?
Most things are well.
Most things are well.
You can't ask for more than that.
You won't lie. That's true. What you sipping on today?
I'm scared to say because I don't even know
Why?
where we stand on the internet anymore.
What you mean?
This is our last. This is the last place we can be online. Like, where else are we gonna go after this? If you get blocked again, if you get banned again, where are you gonna go?
But I
There's
mean,
nowhere
this
to go.
just a tea.
This
That
is,
look like
this
a
is,
that look like a teacup. That's safe.
so let's say it's a cream beverage.
Oh, it's a
Okay,
cream
it's a
beverage.
cream beverage. I put it that way.
Mmm.
What's up, y'all?
What's that?
Careless Mila, how you doing?
Uh-oh. I can't hear you, Dyson.
Yes.
There you are.
I don't know. The computer seems to be acting very sporadically today.
Oh,
Um, my camera went dead as soon as the live started, so I had to
wow.
bring it back, and now we're waiting on JP. Mr. Johnson, I see you backstage. We're gonna bring you on right to the top of the show and get this thing started. um, JP will be logging in shortly, so hopefully we get a smooth show.
We
Um,
will.
we do have, well, Mr. Johnson has a lot of things to bring us up to speed with. Just for those of you just joining in, this is a follow up to our episode, Mr. Bain, Mr. Lincoln Bain, the leader of the COI, and there was some things that he said that didn't sit too well. And in all honesty, we had a discussion after the show, and we said that the opportunity was perfect for us to ask and dive deeper into what some of the things that Mr. Bain was saying. But our objective was really to address the point of who is an organic Bahamian. Is it a divisive term in his view? And he answered that. He said, it is not meant to divide. It is just to capture the essence of us as a people. And it encompasses everyone who holds the Bahamas dear and has legal documents by birth or by paper that shows that they, well, actually he didn't say by paper. He said by one
At
by way
least
of
one.
one parent, at least
Right.
one parent.
At least one.
But
parent.
I say, if you hold the Bahamas there and you are legally documented as a Bahamian, then who is to say that you're not a Bahamian? We don't own no, man, you own land kind
Per
of, but
se.
this God planet, right?
True.
Okay. Plenty people got booted off of their out of their home and out of their land in order for us to call ourselves owners. So let's keep humanity in mind. All right, Mr. Johnson, let's get to you, sir. Let me do your introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest berated the ideas of national advancements proposed by Lincoln Bain, leader of the COI, Bahamian political party. He so passionately opposes the ideas that he has commented on just about every platform clips of our episode. To stay true to the Sup'm Show's commitment to transforming societies through conversation, we have invited Mr. Johnson to share his thoughts on this episode. That would be the one with Lincoln Bain, and share those thoughts here on this one. C. Allen is considered a future thinker operating in the intersection of business, public policy, technology, and personal development. He strongly believes that he has the formula to lead the transition through innovation and digital transformation into the next normal, making Freeport the envy of the entire Bahamas. Again, we will be able to share information to help Mr. Bain. Will he be able to share information to help Mr. Bain see missteps in his thinking? Does Mr. Johnson have a more feasible approach to success? Either way, it is definitely something for us to talk about here on the Sup'm Show. And I see that JP is back. We're going to add him to the stream. I hope everybody heard all of that. You heard? Are we ready for Mr. Johnson?
Ready.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, very famous C. Allen. There you are. Boom. How you doing today, sir?
Oh, I'm blessed as always. Every day above ground is a good day for me.
That's right.
Wonderful. Already dropping the knowledge. Let me change this shift. All right, so you had. Let me dig into this. Let's do a quick reaction as to what kind of sparked my attention from you, other than your posts and comments in the TikTok live during Mr. Bain's show. But here you say what the COI represent and what Bahamians are being asked to accept is not intelligence, vision, or competence, but an intellectually anemic, opaque, vacuous, and sterile style of politics.
Wow.
You go on to say, kept alive by intellectual masking, deepened by intellectual obscuration, bloated by intellectual masturbation, and communicated through endless linguistic contortionism and verbal gymnastics. Challenge the COI on the very ideas they pirate and parrot from you as being badly expressed, and they would attack you as hating them. Now, my God.
Listen,
before we even excellent word choices.
I mean, hold on first. Hold on now. We got to get this on a T-shirt. Intellectual masturbation.
Like, what is that?
Get that on a T-shirt.
What is that, like getting off by words? Is that like?
That's what it is.
Oh, hold on, Yami. Let's let the man explain.
I'm stealing a few words just to let you know. I'm going to be using those on the show.
I mean, he's laughing. There must be a reason why you had to go in so hard on our boy, Mr. Lincoln Bain. Do you hate him?
No, I don't hate him. I hate what he represents.
Okay.
The the intentional dumbing down and misleading of the Bahamian people and using, for the lack of a better word, an absence of intellect. If you anytime you take to listen to the COI, and the COI is Lincoln Bain, make no dispute in that. You can't find, and I put in that same post, bring any of their candidates or anyone in their whole concept to explain to you, and they would go blank. So
Right.
what happens is that Lincoln Bain is a not a politician. He is a confidence man, and he has created a church. So what you have is this church of ignorance and a congregation of literally imbeciles. And
Wow.
and what they do is that if you just listen to Lincoln preach every Sunday at 5 p.m., it's creation, and you can replace the church with cult. And they don't need knowledge. Lincoln Bain could find an empty soda can on the side of the road and convince his congregation that it's a conspiracy to contaminate the Bahamas and a form of corruption, and everybody in the Bahamas being corrupt, including me, except for him. And when challenged, he'll tell you that I am challenging him only because I'm on the payroll of one of the political parties.
Well, are you?
And his people, say it again,
I said, are you?
am I? You said? I would like to be, honestly. The millions idea being spent, let's do this. If you got connections, hook a brother up. Because it's free. Because what happens is that the beauty is if I get on their payroll, I could give up thinking and just get paid.
There you go.
Just be on the payroll.
So you said, go ahead.
I'm just simply saying that. So what he does is he harvests information. You could take information that's been on the internet, on individual pages, whatever, for weeks and months and years. And then he tells his congregation, you don't need to verify this. Not in exactly those words, but you must trust me because I have the information. They're all scared of me. I could call your co-host a lesbian and she will not sue me because she know I'm telling the truth. Not the fact that it makes absolutely no sense to sue a lunatic to change anything because you'll spend all of your time doing it. So then the fact that she doesn't spend $100,000 that she will never recover to quiet a crazy man, then what I said must be the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And if people then take that, because you sue today, tomorrow, you'll do another libel, you'll do another slander, and a continuation of these things. And there's no need to authenticate anything. And that's the same thing with the natural resources. Now, I'm the godfather of natural resources in the Bahamas for over 25, 30 years. And everything that Lincoln knows about natural resources, I taught him in 4 hours. Same thing with Charlotte.
In 4 hours. Now I saw in my research on you that you claim that there's over 128 natural resources from which we can pull from.
Yes.
Am I correct with that? And you taught him all of that in 4 hours?
No, I taught him about 3 in 4 hours, 3 to 4.
Okay.
But the point I made now is that when he came in, remember now, the Bahamian evolution that was formed had nothing to do with Lincoln Bain. He joined afterwards through the invitation of Charlotte Green. And so that's when he came in with Charlotte Green and he began to operate under that pretext. And then eventually he took over Bahamian evolution. This is why you should ask Bahamian evolution to give you Bahamian evolution or Coalition of Independence. And so strong, they should tell you who their founders is. If you want to find out, if you want to find out who is the very emphasis of which the Coalition of Bahamian Evolution Coalition started off, ask them to play the 5 videos, which is on Eyewitness or ILTV, all of the conversations when they started these were conversations we had, right? And so Lincoln Bain never got my consent to record those conversations. This was a lesson for them education. But knowing who Lincoln is, I recorded Lincoln recording me. So if he wants to deny the information, I have a copy of it that's available for him in case
Okay.
he
Okay.
don't.
Time out, Mr. Johnson. Let's go back because I don't want to move too. I don't want to move too quickly away from the natural resources, because that's one of the biggest claims that the COI has under Lincoln Bain's leadership, and you being the godfather of natural resources. Lincoln Bain claims that every Bahamian can receive $100,000 off of aragonite alone, right? Is that impossible? And
I want to help. It's impossible for those of us in the business. But Lincoln has a secret formula that he's been spitting out all over the air. Lincoln Bain says that he could get $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 per ton. Even though today you can go down to Awaki or you can come to Grand Bahama, and myself or Curlin can sell you as much aragonite as you need today and deliver it to you for $25 a ton. We have been trying to donate 10,000 tons of aragonite to anyone. That's $7 million worth of aragonite based on Lincoln, to anyone who can get Lincoln to tell them where we need to drop their aragonite to. And if Lincoln Bain comes himself and tells us where we could drop these aragonite to for the 7,000 or even 6 or even 5, we will donate free of charge and deliver 100,000 tons for him. That's $70 million. So
according
anyone
to
of you guys,
his formula.
Yeah, just tell us where you want us to drop this up to. It's free of charge. That you can get
so
7.
Are you asking? Is the question? Is the question now? Who is actually willing to pay pay this money for the aragonite? Is that the question that you're asking?
I'm saying that it doesn't exist. You don't have to matter who's willing. I'm asking who's willing to pay for ferry dust.
Okay, so talk to us about what exactly is aragonite.
Wait, it doesn't.
Aragonite is a form of calcium carbonate, and aragonite is an absolute formula. There's other forms of aragonite, but it's a calcium carbonate that is in practically all seawater. There's a uniqueness. I can try to summarize it, not to get into things. There's a uniqueness about calcium carbonate in the Bahamas. If you actually look from the air, like they say, from the spacecraft or fly over the Bahamas, you see what is called this whiting, or these banks that you see. Mm-hmm. A lot of people call most of what we have in the Bahamas sand. We have a limited amount of sand. We have billions of tons of sand and billions of tons produced per year. But we only have about 20 tons of sand per year that's produced in the Bahamas. But this whiting that we see, and I want you to go to any beach the next time that you go there and carry with you some vinegar and take the sand up off the beach and pour it in there and you'll see it form. Sand doesn't do that. Aragonite does. And so you'll find that most of the beaches and most of the whiting around the Bahamas is aragonite. What happens is aragonite is in all seawater anywhere in the world. But for some reason, because of our radiant heat in the Bahamas, it's not a direct heat, it's kind of radiant heat. Aragonite separates out of the waters in the Bahamas and falls to the bottom. And this has been happening for millions of years, which gives us these where we say Bahamas shallow banks. And so every single year, millions of tons of this aragonite falls out of this water into the Bahamas. The Bahamas happens to be on top of a mountain, and most of the aragonite and sand, which is a separate entity, falls off into this deep water. But we have multi-billions in the Great Bahama Bank and the Little Bahama Bank and all around the different islands like Zuma and all these other different places. And in fact, you can't mine anything. You see the mountains and the hills and whatever. All of that it's aragonite, a form of aragonite. And so there's no lack of aragonite in the Bahamas. But the Bahamas itself is the aragonite. And when I first talked about the aragonite, I even mentioned that the Bahamians can benefit to the tune of $52,000 per year from a basic income guarantee. but it's a hybridization of the income guarantee. It's not cash. It is about economic development of the country. But I want you to think of aragonite, which is one of our primary resources. Think about this for a moment, Dyson. How many hearts do you have? One. So Lincoln Bain is telling Bahamians, if you sell your heart, you could have a whole lot of money.
Okay, so so let me see if I can add
But
a bit more.
let me explain that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because what happens is we need the aragonite for our very existence more than we need to sell it. You know, we're disappearing under the sea, and the billions of tons of aragonite is what we need to shore up our islands, to build other islands, technically about 4 islands in the Bahamas, to protect our territorial waters, the 12-mile territorial zone. Because if we don't go to the end, say where Cuba is, or where Haiti, that type of thing, to the northeast, where going towards Bermuda, and to the northwest, where going towards America. If we don't, I must send you a video on this too. If we don't build some fixed location, as our land decrease, so does our 12-mile zone. Our 12-mile zone is from the landmass going out. So if we lose that landmass, we could lose 4 miles, 3 miles, whatever. And so then even our exclusive economic zone is reduced because it goes from that landmass. So we need to first build positions out there where someone can live for at least 6 months. We've done it before. Second part of it is we need a strategy to shore up our land. Let's say we're going to be under a certain fate. Let's use an example, 1 foot of water. We need all of the aragonites we can to begin to build higher, build smarter, build seawalls, whatever. But we have to infill those walls or whatever we do on every island that we decide to do this on to preserve the Bahamas. And so you don't sell the very thing you need for the preservation of your life, your heart, so that you could have some pocket money, which automatically would make the Bahamas disappear fiscally. Because if you give cash of 100,000 or even 52,000, you will have something called hyperinflation, where within 1 year, your dollar, we'll have to print some $1 million notes for you to go get a can of soda.
Yeah, I understand how that works, but I wanted to add context that people can feel. And it's funny because I'm using Pinewood Gardens, which is the area in which Mr. Bain campaigned in, as an example, whereas a lot of people mostly familiar with sorry, 1 second. This thing ain't working for me too good today. Most people are familiar with Pinewood Gardens as a place that floods a lot. And we consider it to be low-lying ground. But Isaiah Taylor, who was one of the first persons to have a house in Pinewood Gardens, he's also the leader of Bahamian, the band that I sing in. He tells the tale of when Pinewood Gardens was an area of hills. His house sits on a hill, and you can see where tractors have cut around his house and flattened the land out. Was this to extract the limestone or the aragonite? Right. Yes. So you so you would see in real time now the effects of reaping the aragonite, and how what you're saying has a lot of value to it, because a lot of people would say, man, how is Bahamas going to disappear? Well, the same way the hills in Pinewood disappear. So I take what you're saying to heart, Mr. Johnson. This is good information. Now, so you're saying that it is possible to get the money, but you will no longer have the country and that you live in.
Right.
That
just imagine that you need to move these billions of tons every year to meet Mr. Bain's requirement. Eventually, every time, remember the land mass I told you lose because you're removing the aragonite that actually is like a support column. You go into the sand. I want you to go to the beach and pile up a group of sand, and then I want you to grab a handful and see if the sand doesn't fall to fill that vacuum until eventually that gets lower and lower. When that goes underwater, you, under the laws of the sea, you no longer can claim that as being part of the Bahamas. And so you've then now shrank the Bahamas by virtue of your extensive mining to the capacity that is needed. And so there is uses for aragonite from commercial and industrial, but it requires what is called sustainable strategy for the use of aragonite, for the use of and sand. They're the two very what they call extractive industries, and they are renewable, but not at the speed for which we would be actually taking them out.
Mm.
So, but like salt and everything else, and with some of the many of the other industries that we have. Now, let's use an example. In the Exuma Keys, you have stromatolites or something. Those, believe it or not, in the Exuma Keys, you have the original life on Earth. The only place left is in Exuma Keys. And so when you begin the original one cell thing, stromatolites, and when you start mining and it changes the whole environment, understand we live in a very sensitive ecosystem. And even when we allow these Jotun basins and other things to happen, that's why I have a problem when you go to mine in Exumas or build a marina in New Providence, and you only talk to the people on New Providence or Exuma or Mayaguana when they are mining the Bahamas. They're not mining Mayaguana. They're not mining Ilusho, but they don't tell you you don't have nothing to say about it. You know, and so when you have a study concerning what you're doing, we have to look at the impact that this ecosystem has across the entire Bahamas. But we have moved towards selling body parts as a form of economic development. And we simply say, well, we got another kidney. We have another this. Well, I got 10 fingers. I can live with nine. And it's madness what we're doing when the world is moving, and you hear that we talk about this global warming and all of these type of environment and the green economy, the blue economy, the ocean economy, and even the aquamarine economy, which was identified in the House of Assembly in during the budget debate of 2023. The aquamarine economy is an exclusive Bahamian economy based on who we are. It was designed by myself and Eden Mary Johnson, who happens to be my wife. And Mr. Warren Miller read that into the House of Assembly as the first and newest entrant into the global marketplace because it combines the ocean economy, the blue economy, the green economy, the carbon economy, and all of these different various economy models. And having the Bahamas become one of the most pristine places on earth, increasing our economic value. I don't want to go too far astray, but let's use an example. In the Bahamas, the average daily rate in the Bahamas is about $400 for each hotel rooms. And we have been slowly trending downwards. Don't mind what the people tell you. So essentially, what we do is we replace captured paradise for tourism and be celebrated. And that's where the cruise ship are creating new islands to extractive industry. But
Say
what
it again
happens?
slow.
Huh?
Captured part.
Paradise. Yes, that's our model of economics. What we
Dig
do
into
is we
that one
allow.
quick second for me. Yeah, explain captured priorities. What is your thinking
Okay,
on that?
here, like for instance, you have the RCI, the the great. I'm going to send you a video on this too.
Okay.
You have a cruise industry which have created an ecosystem that allows no money to leave this model. They're the hotel, they're the destination itself. But they
Okay.
realized that
I
but
understand.
that when they stopped to other places, they were bleeding. They couldn't. So they were bleeding monies when people got off the cruise ship to do these things. First, they used to tell people, "Don't take your money. You're gonna get robbed. You're gonna get whatever." But they came with a better idea, is to create a destination within the destination, which they call these islands, these cruise ports.
Mm.
And so now they don't need to worry about losing any resources. So they now have captured probably 95% of the economy of the tourism, hospitality, the travel, hospitality, and tourism business by virtue of creating a virtual paradise on their cruise ships. So what they do is they build all of these island ports, these cruise ports, or whatever, these island destinations that is 100% owned by them, 90% serviced by them. They don't mind a few Bahamians walking around handing towels or selling ice cream or some product they've gotten from America. They've captured
Man,
90% of
don't
that. So
depress me. Don't depress me. I want you to inspire me in the show. I don't want you to
no,
depress me in
no,
the show.
because I can tell you there is a method, the method, and we can hopefully I can watch the time. There is an opportunity right now today. Understand this. There is, and we discovered this when my wife and I were studying. And these are the things when you say third parties, right?
Mhm.
I will come to some of the solution, but let me go back to third parties. What we have is we have a broken people, and my wife wrote about this, right? We have adopted what is called learned helplessness. It's just indoctrinated over 50 years, where we sit and depend. And believe it or not, I can offer you, Mr. Knowles, Baha Nurse, Mr. Bazad, and you, Dyson Knight. And I want you all to call me out on this. I can get $1, $2, or $3 million for you, 100% financing, where you keep 80% of the profit, and and reimagine our tourism product. And it's very simple. You want to open a 3, 4 plex. Let's say you want. Oh, just before I explain to you, let's jump back to what I said about the average daily rates. In TCI, the average daily rates is closer to $1,300 per day because they serve a whole different clientele of individuals. In the Bahamas, every 28 cruise passengers is equal to one stayover visitors. And that's somewhat embarrassing for the mere fact that just 28 people, the average stay in the Bahamas is 3 to 5 days. That you telling me 28 people buying trinkets is equal to your stopover visitors. It tells you that somehow, and that's the average. I don't count Bahama and the rest of it, because they're on the top, and then you have the lower end, which then comes down to the average. But tourism itself said 28 cruise passengers is equal one stopover. So if you take the 12 million cruise passengers and divide that by 28, you will come up with 439,000 stopover visitors. The same amount of stopover visitors we have lost from these islands over the number of years. So we have replaced them with passengers who fly through, who stop into the Bahamas. And imagine that you have a mall, right? And
Hold on again, Mr. Johnson, because you're moving really fast. I want you to know that you know this thing to heart, and it's gonna come out very quickly. I appreciate that, but for myself and maybe one or two of the people who are gonna be watching our clips and watching this right now, but you're saying $1,300 TCI average daily rate. The average daily rate is how much money they get from from passengers in a day.
A room per night.
Room.
A room per, no, that's not from the hotel, from the airport. That's from the stopover visitors.
From the stopover visitors.
Every night they stay, we get $400, and TCI gets $1,300.
Okay, and you're just counting the passengers on each ship.
Right.
Okay.
No, I don't count the ship at all. I'm showing you
just the passengers.
Right. The ship. We need to stop fantasizing about this thing that we have. In fact, Ms. Duran, the economist, says that we have no true research to tell us where this $20 that we get, whether it stays, whether it leaves the Bahamas or whatever. And so this is why we make sure that we keep Bahamians data averse. And so even though what I say, third parties are like the minor leagues for auditioning, with the exception of the Coalition of Independence, where it has become a business.
Okay.
Lincoln has learned. The church is a business.
Quick question for you, Mr. Allen. Do you think what you're describing right now, overall, is more or less a problem with the mindset of the people of the Bahamas rather than Mr. Bain?
No, it is. No, you're absolutely correct. What I'm saying to you is this. Leadership seeks to solve problems and lead people out, not to exploit them. So two things. Either he is operating an extreme state of the arrogance of ignorance never seen anywhere, or that he found a new business model for lack
Right.
of his ability to do anything else. It's a new business model. He'll make excuses like say the money goes into my personal account for the party because they don't want us to have an account, a business account, or a party account, and everything. Mind you, every other party does, right? So I ask you, go and make a $5 donation to Mr. Lincoln Bain. So let's have Mr. Lincoln Bain. Go make a $5 donation to the Coalition of Independence and see where it goes into his personal account. And so with no accountability, anything of that sort. And so what I'm simply saying is that I have a problem. I can tolerate ignorance, but I can't tolerate deceit. The other parties, they operate in a form of ignorance. But Mr. Lincoln Bain has taken the confidence game to a whole nother level, utilizing something that's very important. I want you to understand, about 20 years ago, a leaked document from the United States government said, based on how to influence Bahamians, they use two things, P and R. This is the actual leaked documents coming out. It was classified files that was leaked. Do you know what the P and R stands for? It
I
says
only
if
know
you want to
public
control the
relations.
Bahamian people, use politics and religion. They are very sensitive to it. And this is
You know what?
an intelligence report.
Not to cut you off, right? But I made a comment on this show. I made a comment on this show a couple. See, that's why this boy saying I. I made a comment on this show maybe a year and a half ago. What for the love of me, I could never understand, right? Religion that is. You would have American evangelists or whatever you want to call them, right? Go to the Bahamas, have a big revival, and then somehow, some way, the Bahamian people actually find out it's a scam, and they got scammed now, right? And they'll all come to their senses. And then 2 months go by, and someone else will go on the island and do the same exact thing. So I always said to myself, like, either people are just too silly to learn, or you got a bunch of hopeless people just relying on the Savior from anywhere to save them.
That last part.
That may be it.
Well, but that's it. But that's exactly where Lincoln comes in. Remember that this is Lincoln's third or fourth church. Lincoln had Purpose Church. Lincoln had another church. He went in and took over this church called Purpose Church on by the Red Cross, which the people from the U.S. came and had to evict him out of the church. He went there supposed to be to mitigate something they were doing. So after he left that church, he went and started Potential Church, which he ran until, again, that fell apart. So this is his third aspect of having a church. And that's why it's required attendance that you must come to church every Sunday at 5 p.m. So I could talk for 3 hours. There's a concept also of manipulation, and it's used by the PLP and somewhat by the FNM once they have power, but it's used by the PLP 24 hours a day. It is called fire hosing. Do you remember when you watch those things where they had to put the fire hose on the blacks in the U.S. and ever? It's
Say that again.
Like you remember in the U.S. when they were boycotting and they used to put the fire hose on the people?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've seen images. Okay.
Okay, that's called fire hosing with information. You overwhelm them continuously with information, continuously with announcements, plans, ribbon cuttings, newfound information, conspiracy theories, or whatever. And it doesn't allow them to think. And so what you have is a group of people that is literally, no matter what, our economy have grown from $600,000 in 1973 to $16 billion today. So we had a population of 200,000 people. Think about this, 200,000 people in 1973. Today we have 400,000 people and it's $16 billion GDP. And we own less homes, less businesses, less of everything today. And so we double our population and go from 600 million to 16 billion, and we have less. That is a sign of learned hopelessness and codependency. And so this is not that has happened, what happened. You could actually go back to our education system and see the sleight of hand that happens in the 80s. Those of us that went to university from the Bahamas in the 80s practically did not have to go for the first 2 years of college. We took CLEPS exam, college level examination preparation test, whatever. We also went to high school, you skipped a few grades. Right around the mid 80s, right down to the 90s. When you go to the US now, you're in remedial classes. That it was on purpose. That's the killing of government high
Wait,
school.
what you mean? Elaborate on the last part.
In 1980, when you
Mm-hmm.
went to the US, when you left the 10th grade here and you went to the
Mm-hmm.
US, they put you in the 12th. When you went
Mm.
to university, they practically waived all of your first 2 years, sophomores, they call it filler classes, and
Right.
put you straight into advanced college and university.
Okay.
Today, you go to the US, they put you in remedial classes.
That's not true.
Huh?
That's not true.
In most contexts, see, we can't use the exception as the rule. And we love to do this in the Bahamas. When we say, look at Buddy here, look at all of these different things.
No,
But
I'm speaking about myself.
no, that's what I'm saying. You are the exception.
You are the
So am I.
exception. Yeah, that's
So then
Well,
would that
well,
make it not a fact then?
No,
Well,
yes. The
I can
exception
speak
to
on
the
that as
rule
well.
doesn't negate the rule.
I can speak on
Mhm.
that for sure because I just experienced that with my daughter a few years back, and I don't mean to cut in there,
Mm-hmm.
but
where's your light,
it
sir?
well, this is the reason why I was quiet because I want to get to a point here.
Go ahead.
Before I get to that point, let me just say to this point that I experienced the same thing when I went to college. I was bumped up. When my daughter went to high school, she was held back, and
Mm.
it wasn't so she just kind of cruised through,
in the
and
in the US?
yeah, in the U.S.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure why that switch happened. I'm not sure why that happened or what the consideration is, but we had to go through a lot of hoops to show them there's an office here that certifies our education system, and so we had to get the transcript from the Bahamian high school and submit it to them, and they had to submit it to the U.S. school, saying to them that this is equivalent to this and this is equivalent to that, meaning that she should be in this level, and they still put her at a level below.
But
Mm.
I'll
Mhm.
say
So,
this. It's not because of the education, It's more because of the age.
No, no, no. Let me argue
And
against
let
that.
me hold on, wait,
Okay,
before
go
you
ahead.
continue. When I came here in grade 11, I remember the first thing I told my parents was if they try to hold me back, I need to go back home. And sure enough, they attempted to because of how old I was.
Okay,
And
well
sh-
then you
and
you
that,
you just second his what he's saying.
No,
If
but
but
you
it
no,
try
but it's
wasn't, no,
not
no,
to,
the.
no. But what he
Let
was
me let her
saying
finish. I'm
was
gonna answer that.
to
okay,
to what I understood. If I'm understood incorrectly, then I accept that. But what I thought he was saying was that back in the 80s, when you would come to the US, you would be bumped up. But because of how the education system is different.
Mhm.
Now, when you come to the US, you're put in remedial. When even though they initially would have preferred that I went back because of how old I was, when I was in the classes with my classmates, I remained in the 11th grade, the stuff that they were teaching, I had done in probably seventh grade, in grade 7. So I was still ahead and everything was easy.
but that was a few
See,
years ago,
let
yeah.
me. No, but let
Right.
me. No, I'm saying you.
But he
Let me
said
take you back
from
to
the
1980.
90s though.
No, see, I went. See, I was understand this. Let me give you a little history of me. Believe it or not, I've only had 3 years of first to 12th grade. I was 15 when I graduated, right in the Miami. They didn't question your age when you came. They questioned your competence. The problem is we went away from an English system that taught us how to think. That's where you may have captured to a position of telling us what to think. And so we lost the lack, I don't like to use the word critical thinking, but we lost the ability to reason in our school. And then we have also adopted this mindset of the D average and everything else. That's a different problem than the grade. That's an actual problem of teaching our children to think. And so what often happens though is that we take an example and we do this very good. We are very good at conflation, a form of conflation and convolution to make up for our lack in the Bahamas. That's why we developed the CYC. Duran,
You ain't saying nothing but a word. We say this all the time on the show.
right.
How Bahamians argue. Yeah, please.
Ms. Duran, when she said that we have no record of our tourism product, and everybody didn't ask, well, do we have a record? They went to attacking her. The scale of our business, your country doing worse
Yeah,
than
that's
ours.
weird. I don't
It,
understand that.
it's the same thing where we say we have criminality being our government is being accused of. And we have people spend the entire time talking about all the crime and things in America. How you all looking at us? And y'all have this, y'all have corruption just as good as us. And so I use the example is like we I ask people all the time, is that what is it okay for a rapist to break into your window because he broke into the neighbor's house and did the same thing?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. But what it is, it comes from a form of hopelessness that is
No, I do
established
believe that.
within our communities. And you might be surprised, right? And they talk about this poverty level. They haven't done it since 2011. I will argue that as much as 50 to 60% of the Bahamians in the Bahamas is in poverty, working poor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is, in my opinion, that's just take the numbers of 4420
No.
or whatever it was in 2011. Add in that proportion per year to live. You add inflation today, and you'll be between 7 to 8,000. Let's use 7,000. So you need $7,000 a year income just to be equal on the poverty line for every person in your house. Let's go to the government workers who has a family of three or four in their house, and they don't make that much money to go home with.
Foolishness.
They may be working and they may be surviving, but by the very definition of poverty, we have hit that. That isn't taking into effect the cost of power and food and all these other different things and these variables, the cost of rent and housing that has occurred. And so what we do is we have an organized deniability, plausible deniability. And so if we avoid confronting with thought the things that we need to repair about ourselves to succeed, then we get to always find a different country. You could listen to this people, they'll say, we better than this person. Then next day you're having a conversation, we better than Haiti. Then we better than Sudan. Then we
Mm.
better than we always move the goalpost to find a point about us that makes us superior about where somebody else as opposed to being superior to where we should be.
Okay,
And
Right.
and
Mr.
But
Johnson.
so okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I just, like I said, I want to. We've been talking for quite a while, and we've stated a whole lot of issues and a whole lot of problems. I want to start to direct a conversation into solutions.
Right.
You're saying right now that the people are in a certain state. We're in this state now after being independent for 53 years, and we've had two different parties govern us through our independence, the PLP and the FNM. Right now, what the COI has done in the last election is display that there is a possibility that another party other than the PLP and the FNM can galvanize the people and get a lot of votes and even almost make it into the House of Parliament. That hasn't
no,
been
they
done.
don't. Those numbers don't hold up. See, again, I'm a data person, right? Those numbers don't hold up. And I hear the marketing. This is what we've got at. It's acceptable to marketing. I'm trying to find some notes right here, right? And the coalition and even the media has carried, I see this oftentimes, has carried about record breaking the number of votes the coalition got. Let me take you to 1977 when the Bahamian Democratic Party got 17,252 votes. That is only when we had what, 100,000, or I'm trying to look for the numbers, amount of votes that they got. Not only did the third party, they got 26.91% of the votes. They won 6 seats, even more than the FNM at that particular time, led by J. Henry Boswell. And so we don't seem to want to go back to historical records proportionately. So even if you want to compare them to the DNA, we compare the number of votes instead of doing proportionate concerning 170,000 or whatever the amount of votes was at that particular time compared to 210,000 today. So proportionally, so when you begin to do these different things, what what happens is the coalition of independents have mastered anger politics. And you could go to you without the coalition, just every Bahamians feel like they're being oppressed, or every Bahamian believe that a select group of people have all access to money, have access to everything. That we have a
But
two set of oligarchs. But just to make this point,
okay.
first of all, we need to stop saying that we've been governed by FNM and PLP parties. We have never been governed by an FNM party or a PLP party, nor will we ever be governed by a coalition party.
That is not what you
Those
said.
are those are vehicles. And
Mhm.
when we begin to focus on the vehicles, we move away from the failure of leadership, no matter what vehicle they arrived in. And so what we've had is we've had period of growth, but the most detrimental part of our growth is this. The Bahamas has for over 50 years been listed as the most digitally prepared country in the world. Freeport, if you were to separate Grand Bahama and treat it as a country, it would be the second most digitally prepared country in the world. The point I make that is there's nothing in the world today that isn't digital and will become further digital. But here we are, the 21st century started on January 1st of 2001. The second quarter of the 21st century started on January 1st, 2026. And we have problems with even getting paperless documents that's been around for 20 plus years in our country for governance. We use words like entrepreneurs, right, for business people. We use words like innovation for nothing that is new. Not everything we copy because it's new to the Bahamas, we call it innovation. We use words like state of the art. And we don't question these things in the context of what they mean from a global perspective and a competitive nature that we are. We celebrate instances of success rather than the collective success of our nation.
Mhm.
It's almost as if saying, you could be next. And so the coalition of independents have caught into that, a form of anger politics. You're poor because they thief in all the money. Now, let's think about this for a moment. The government gets its money from taxation. So if the government collects $2.5 million from taxation from $16 billion, where is this government thieving the rest of the money? Somebody has the rest of the money. So when you distract and you start saying government is thieving all of the money, so let's accept what Hubert Minnis said is that, and what was said before, that we lose $500 million per year to corruption. And that isn't just from government, that's from business aspect and productivity and everything else. Then somehow there's $15.5 billion that still flows through this economy. So your poverty is not from that. Even the taxation that they get is from the income you've earned. So this concept of they stealing all the money and billions of dollars, you hear this again, billions of dollars every year is stolen out of the treasury. Mind you, the treasury operates in a negative of $1 billion a year, but billions of dollars in positive money is stolen out of it. And you have thousands of people actually believe that, and that there's a conspiracy. So the question we should be asking is, why are we excluded from the wider economy, or why haven't we using tools more so today? Latre Raming and the Prime Minister about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, had a speech he gave on needing to tear down the gates, these gatekeepers. And then he went to the College of the Bahamas and gave the same speech. And Latre Raming last week wrote about this. There was a person, there's a doctor on Grand Bahama, right? I want to give you some analogy. His name is Dr. Roop, one of the most brilliant minds you could ever have, right? Photographic memory. This guy, I think he can remember leaving home with his dad, coming home with his mom. And so what he did was people used to break into his yard and steal parts from his car and break into his clinic. Do you know what he did? He went and bought some heavy chains and he chained the two gates, chained them, he put all heavy chains and locked them all. And then he took down the fence. Believe it or not, nobody broke into his building since then, all went to his cars. But it created a great analogy where the prime ministers and his people around him is talking about a, a gate that you need to go through. You could ask why the gate was there in the first place, but there is no wall to contain you. But you've been conditioned to look at the gate to enter
Yep.
for your success. And so, in the same capacity, the world is changing. The world is changing
Clever,
that
man. Very
that
good.
you will
Yep.
never ever see this change again. In such a way, we had them use the expression that you will own nothing and will be happy. There will still be some amongst us, even the humans, that will still own everything. The question, are we, with the tools that's now available to us, are we going to sit quiet and allow it to happen? Which, let me go back for 60 seconds. Where I said to you, today, there's something called tokenization in the world. You see Donald Trump talk about stablecoin. Do you know that I found out, right? As smart as I may think I have, I found out that there was a quadrillion dollars in actual flow. I thought of trillions of dollars, right? Multi trillions. I never thought of a billion dollars until I actually saw, as part of my briefing, a company called DTCC entered the marketplace, and they're bringing 1.4 quadrillion dollars into the tokenization space. Tokenization, which happens to be the first place it has, the first place legitimate tokenization has occurred in the world.
No.
How many of you know? The Bahamas,
Legal?
2020, legal 2020, something called the
Oh,
DARE Act.
really?
Yes, we are good at starting things. First with the gate with the digital currency, first with the gate with the DARE Act, and a whole lot of things. And that's because we're good at copying things and never understanding fundamentally. The DARE Act can bring the housing issues we face. My wife and I wrote about this. In the Bahamas today, there's 3.5 million to $4 million sitting idle in the banks. They call that lazy money. There's $4 billion in the bushes, and there's $60 billion in equity available for Bahamians today, not tomorrow, today. And the DARE Act makes that possible. But ask the people in charge of it to explain it to you, and they can't. Donald Trump now is coming behind and reshaping the world economy using the very same law that we've had in place for 6 years.
See, Alan,
And so
Mr. Johnson, sir, please talk to us about what
that's
needs to happen for us to take,
no,
yeah,
Because
that's
advantage
what I'm
of
about to
these.
tell you. If you come
Okay,
to me
okay,
right now and you want that
yes,
fourplex, let me see if I can pull up a calculator right here. Okay, so I don't go too
yeah, because Jules
offhand,
can
right?
tell us how we could get $1 million.
That's what I'm going
great.
to give to you. I'm going to say to you, you want to build a fourplex, right? I want you to imagine you could build a fourplex. I want you to spend $1 million to build a fourplex. Some contractor's going to tell you they could get it for less, right? Even $1.5 million in a fourplex. I want you to service a whole group of people, different people. Why? Because if you go into the bed and breakfast space, you need about 300 people or more per year to reach your target. If you go into the short-term vacation rental space or to other things, you need 73 people at max. So when these people talk to you
Yeah,
about the millions and millions of people coming, let's say you need 75. Let's round it up. So for your fourplex, so for you to make $10,000 a week minimum, right? Just all you say to yourself is, I don't care about the 10 million, 12 million. Just show me where my 300 is. That's all. Just show me my 300. Now,
hmm,
I want you to take into consideration that 40% of tourists who come to the Bahamas do not come back again. And we have carried this for 2 decades. Imagine if
okay,
you had a food store where you have 40% of your people don't return.
Mm.
Mm.
We haven't created a destination where we look at hospitality as a subscription and tourism as a service. I'm going to come
mm,
explain to you right now your $1 million. In
okay,
2009, a survey was done in the Bahamas. And it says that the Bahamas at one time offered sun, sand, sea, and service. In 2009, the study was done, says the Bahamas no longer offers
for the
service.
service.
Mm.
Okay?
Mm.
And we have not proven them wrong. But let's go back to you go for a token. I'm going to use these big numbers, right?
Mhm.
Let's say we find 1,000 people who want to invest $1,000 with you based on the business plan you do. Or let's say 1,000 people who want to invest $1,500 with you. So you could
Mhm.
have that 1.5 million because you want to just go green and put four put four EV in front of it in your building. So now you have this fourplex that you spend $1.5 million for. If the average daily rate in the Bahamas is $400, and so if you go with the $400, if you go with the $400 a day, right, and you do by 7 days. Now I'm only using this formula because it's easier for you to understand, or even for the
Okay.
$2,000, right? But there's
Mhm.
a variation. It depends on how you design and what you want to offer them. So you could offer where your EV car is inclusive as part of your Airbnb. There's you can have concierge service that you certain things that you offer them. Right?
Right.
Generally speaking, for the short-term vacation rental, they spend 5 days or less. They don't spend the full 7 days. That's why if you take 5 days and divide it by
Hmm.
365, you end up at 73. Okay. So
Okay.
what happens is that you take, just say, let's put it down to $2,500 for the fourplex you have. You have $10,000 a week, right? And I'm going to
Hmm.
come back and explain to you the occupancy. Let's pretend it's 100% occupancy. So you have just $520,000 a year that you're taking in for your fourplex, right? Now, remember the 520,000, but remember, I got 1,000 people to lend you $1,500, and you promised them that you was going to give them a 10% return on their money, right? Let's use the 1.5 million that you did. So
You
what
speak
you
of
have done
where we
now,
going to get the 1.5 million to build the units to now from
yes,
the fifth
yes, yes,
for 1,000
to
people,
fill,
1,500 amount. Okay.
yeah, right. So
Hmm.
what you have, you need about 15,000 to 20,000 in New Providence, 25,000 for Grand Bahama, 6,000, 8,000, sorry, for Abaco, and 6,000 for Lutra plus whatever else. We can explain to you why everything where these third parties and the government will come back to that to tell you where it's all lies what they say to you. But now you have this $520,000 that you have. What did you promise the people for the 1.5 million? You promised them 10% return on their money. These people are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% in the US. You promised them 10% for your money secured by real estate.
Hmm.
Tokenization allows you to do this yesterday, not today. So you must send them $150,000 in dividends, right?
Hmm.
So let's minus that from your $520,000, right? And you would end up at 370,000. Let's put 0.4% of that for maintenance, upkeep, and everything else. Remember now, you build a passive house and everything else. So what you did is you build a passive house, meaning that it doesn't need to consume electricity. It uses energy. And in case you don't know, you can buy a battery from a used battery to put as part of your house for about $3,000. Do you know that an EV car, when properly purchased, you can buy a car, and instead of going spending $30,000, $40,000 and putting a battery inside of your vacation rental, you'll put a 2-hour batteries in there. Maybe go to an old EV car. An old EV battery still has 80% of its power, good for about another 10 to 20 years. If you put that outside of your building, separate from the house, so in case fire or something happened, you could run your B&B for 2 hours. But guess what happens? When the person comes back home and they plug in the EV takes over generating power for the house and runs it for 2 days. This isn't future technology. This is available today. And
I
so,
understand
if,
what you're saying. I
right,
understand what you're
so
saying.
right,
Continue.
if you build, yes, if you build smart, that's why you're going to spend $1.5 million rather than having 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bunch of apartments trying to collect from people who are going to vomit and destroy your place. You're going to cater to a whole different class of people. We want to elevate our tourism product. And so now you have this 520,000 minus, let me go back to that. You get 520,000, 1, 2, 3, minus the 150 that you would send back as the dividends to them, right? And then your 370 times point 0.6. So
Boy,
you
these
make
numbers.
$225,000 a year after you pay all your expenses of that loan you have. The smart thing to do is that you have this 200,000, even just 100,000. What you do is remember you have this 1,000 tokens that's out. What you could do is take every single year, now that you're giving them their performances, right? What you could do
Hmm.
is you could then decide to start buying back some of the tokens, right? Just start buying them back with the extra money you have. Now that every dividend that you pay out is paid to yourself because now you own the tokens. You originally had 1,000 tokens out. You bought 100 back. So now next year you only disperse them to 900 people. And so now what you do is you now buy 110 back again. And in about 7 years, you would now own that building free and clear. Because
That
the people just want
isn't.
to.
But that
Huh?
okay, that is very reliant on the success of the 4 units, right? And it's also very reliant on getting the $1,500 from 1,000, getting 1,000 people to work along with you,
That's the
and
easy part.
very reliant on actually being able to deliver 10x on that $1,500. Like that. Well, okay, so that's the easy part. Talk to me.
No, but see, that's what I'm saying to you. If we have a need today for 60,000 bed and breakfasts, we're sitting around waiting for some foreigner who is going to come and bring us a destination rather than us as collectively begin to build our own destination that we own. We just call it an opportunity and ownership economy.
That's
We
another
have,
that's another thing too, CL, and it's the competition from the mega resorts. I mean,
they're
It's
not
um,
not,
competition.
in my opinion, it's not only
They're
that.
not competition.
The biggest problem is we don't like to work together, and
Yeah,
we don't
so
support it.
right.
Right?
We
No,
don't,
but
well,
we
see,
don't
I
support
would
each other.
say,
but
no,
yeah, go ahead, CL. Sorry.
I would say this, right, Dyson? You're
Hmm.
telling me that you lack the confidence to curate a 5 days of experience as part of your concierge package
No,
for
I
your
can do that
four.
easily.
Okay, then don't worry about the rest of them. Physician, focus on you and let them copy you or learn from you. See,
Okay.
what happens is we keep waiting to talk about the collective. You know what? On Grand Bahama, now that we're moving towards the licensing phase where I can go into the market and represent you in the US and other places, we need 25,000 places. And my wife and I have taken the position for those who don't believe, when you come to me, Dyson, this is how we count: one for Dyson, two for Eden, three for Seattle. Okay. So, because we're going to use these products. No, so I'm saying we're going to continuously build towards the capacity we need. The Atlantis them offers what is called a can experience. These are what I call the captured experience.
Yeah,
The
I get where you're
authenticity.
going. I
No,
believe
I'm
it can
saying
work
this. But see, we talk
for a
about,
few.
see, this is where I am a person, I don't believe in education as an empowerment tool. I believe in empowerment tool. You empower people, just teach them to manage what they have. An empowered person will demand better education. An empowered person will demand a better neighborhood. An empowered person will
Yes,
demand better leadership. Okay? And
yes.
so
Let's
what
go
we
that
have to
direction.
do is we have to teach empowerment. And this is what I've talked about for 25 years, talking about natural resources. You've heard the Progressive Liberal Party, and I let me say this on air. If the Progressive Liberal Party would sign an agreement with me, I don't want any money. Just sign an agreement with me, and I'll show them how to get 1 billion or 2 billion. Let's make it $2 billion a year from the natural resources, or don't pay me my fee I'm asking for.
Okay, okay. I really appreciate all this information. It's a lot, and I'm trying to keep up, right? Um,
Hmm.
but I'm gonna take us back to your example with the bill in the 4 units. The 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 trouble I have with this is that you've already said that 60 to 70% of Bahamians are living in poverty,
Yes.
right? So if we're saying 60 to 70% of what we're talking about, adult Bahamians, that's what, 250,000 or 200,000.
Right.
70% would be what 130, 140 of them.
Put it at 100,000. Yeah.
Okay, 100,000. Let's just say half. So if we're looking at 100,000 people that are living in poverty, you're already poor, and then you want to get, I say, 1,000 people to support your
No,
endeavor.
no,
No,
I
no,
just
no, no, no.
no,
See,
Wait.
no.
right.
What I'm
See,
saying, hold on, let me finish the whole point so you can
right.
answer the whole
Okay,
thing.
go ahead.
So let me, yeah, so you can answer the entire thing. You get 1,000 people to go along with you. I'm not even talking about being able to, or being able to get them to partner with you. I'm talking about the fact that Once you're doing it, that's 999 people that have to wait in
No,
line
they
to
don't.
do
That's
it
what
for
I'm saying.
themselves. Okay,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
have a business.
Talk to me.
I have a business of tokenization.
I mean, but isn't tokenization? Educate me on this.
No, tokenization
Tokenization
is the
really
same as
sounding like a
shadow.
Ponzi scheme to
No,
me.
it's not the fancy. Let me ask you a question. You go to Cable Bahamas, you buy some shares, right?
Yeah,
You have all these papers, physical paper you go to BizX with. Tokenization is a digital representation of those shares.
correct.
So essentially, consider it like pennies. I raise 1,500 pennies for you, and there are all these people who owns 1 penny each. And when you want to redeem those pennies, your job, though, just like Cable Bahamas, is to make sure that you produce the dividends that you promise continuously, sustainably. So that
Through
when that
successful
person needs,
business.
yes, when that person needs to, say, quickly access their money, they can always find somebody who's willing to buy that token from them because they have a history showing that the token has performed.
Okay.
Just like Cable Bahamas. You don't go back to Cable Bahamas. What I'm saying to you is that I just gave you another back end of it saying, if I was doing it and I'm making $100,000, I would eventually move to trying to own the whole thing. I greedy. You may not be.
Hmm.
So what I'm saying to you is tokenization is nothing to do with your ability to run a business. That's where I come in. It's four
Okay.
different companies that we work. We have a company called Different Concepts that basically help you in the whole preparation and even put you through a hospitality class. Because respectfully, I don't want you to keep I'm not being negative, right? We say this in humor. I don't want you to keep the bed and breakfast the way you keep your house in bed. Just
Fair
saying.
enough. Fair enough. I
So
just got riled.
I'm
I get
not,
riled for not fixing the pillows the other day, but I fixed the
right.
pillows
I
in the
don't want,
unit.
I
Okay,
want,
that ain't cool. I understand.
I don't want, so I'm simply saying we're not going to drop you into a business. And so the whole process, let's say it takes 6 months, let's put a year to raise this funding for you. It's going to be a mandatory thing for you to go to class, not this thing that we do, what they call it thing with tourism, where they say you do the class. We talking about speaking to the university in Florida that actually teaches hospitality management and everything else. Because what you are basically being given is a management opportunity for which the tokens represents the thing. And the beauty about it is it's secured by real estate, real world assets. You hear them talk about this. And so if you mess up, I just tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, Dyson, you see Sarah over here? She's here to take over because you don't know what the hell you're doing and you don't have the discipline. There's no debate because this is not yours. You're sitting on a special purpose vehicle and you're the
Mm.
management of it that you could have for as long as you want, as long as you perform. Or if you could buy it out and run it into the ground, that's your option. But as long as it's controlled by this SPV, you have to meet the standard. Let's use an example for my wife and I. We have two brands. We're going to be we're going to have one called Sand Dollar and we have one called Starfish. We are going to set benchmarks on the quality of service that we're going to offer, standard operating procedures, everything if you want to carry our brand. And then we're going to use what they call cumulative buying to buy things and whatever else. So we all don't have to be competing with the same store. We go get it from the same. So we're bringing them under our brand. And I use the expression, which is the second part of it. If you come to me right now today and you want 80% funding of tokenization, but you still want 100% financing, right? Or you want to go to the local bank, I will lend you the 20% for this business plan. Remember now, it's not you talking to me. If you're going to work on developing an actual business plan, accounting, financing, everything, even where we collectively don't have to go to Airbnb and the rest of them and pay them 17 to 25% of our revenue, because the Bahamas is the number one destination and the Bahamas is the number one website. The problem with the
Mhm.
Bahamas.com website is we bring the people to the Bahamas and say, look at all this beautiful food we want to eat. And the people said, can I order something? We said, no, you got to go to the other place and order it. So we moved towards that transferring this into this concept. So you now nothing more than manager. I'm simply saying is If we need 30,000, why we can't have 15,000 Bahamian families managing 4 units after waiting for another lattice to come with another 4,000 rooms?
Yeah,
The,
I
the,
totally understand where you're coming from. Just can you address this question?
yes, I said it right
Address this
there.
question.
Private equity, yes, private equity brings much more complexities. Tokenization is simply exact. It simply says digitize or fractionalize. See, private equity is almost like it's a form of fractionalization. Study the fractionalization and the tokenization. The tokenization is a simplification of fractionalization or these whole other things. Just it's plain and simple. Start an SPV and sell the same fractionalization as digital tokens that is controlled by individuals, where there's no intermediaries, whatever. It can be controlled by a DAO, an autonomous organization, a decentralized autonomous organization. It's a smart contract. You can't modify it. I can't modify it. Whatever else. So
My question with
what
tokenization is
tokenization does,
where does it? Okay, go ahead. Where does it hold the value?
in the billion, the token is just an exchange of value.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
if I own 100 tokens in your business, that's 100 tokens in my wallet. And when you disperse profits, it automatically disperses into that wallet or to whatever
Okay.
address I give you.
Okay. I
So,
understand what's happening. Okay.
so let's use an example. We have in the Bahamas today, right? There is $60 billion sitting in equity. There's some senior citizens right now sitting in a house with $300,000 equity, waiting on national insurance and pension to send them $700 a month. $300,000. If they was to put their house on the blockchain, protected by a decentralized autonomous contract, smart contract, and lend their money to you, Dyson, the $300,000 for that bed and breakfast, and you're paying them the 10%, they would now make $30,000 a month of the equity in their house, right?
Yeah.
Because the equity in their house is now secured by the bed and breakfast. So their real estate risk is secured by your real estate, and it's all protected by the smart contract that no one can modify. And so now that same that family who's sitting there with $300,000 with equity, if they were to even get 5% return on their money, they now got $15,000 a year of equity in their house they never had. This is what tokenization does. So imagine that we have $60 billion right now sitting vacant in equity in homes in the Bahamas. This don't count the trillions or quadrillions of money around the world. I would tell people some words to learn today because money no longer exists as you know it. Tokenization, stable coins, Clarity Act, Genius Act, real world assets. Learn these words.
Okay.
There's only two things you will be. You'll be participant or subject to them. But the greatest wealth transfer in the world, when you hear, go watch World Economic Forum and all of them. When they talk with the greatest wealth transfer in the world, they're talking about tokenization. Learn it.
I understand. I've been following it. I've been following the whole crypto scene, and understanding it as the evolution of.
But don't use crypto. This is not crypto.
Tokenization.
Can I clarify that for you?
Form of
it's a form of currency. See, what happens is we have to be very careful when we use the word cryptocurrency, and tokenization. Now, crypto is an umbrella branch that has been contaminated with cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is fool's gold. Okay, it has no value. Not a cent. There's 15,000 cryptocurrency in the market today, and they have zero value. Okay, you practically can't pay me to take a Bitcoin from you.
Facts.
Okay?
I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
But the blockchain, everything else in the world, quadrillions of dollars, without speculation. What it simply now does is before you had to go sit in the front of one of these banks, these Canadian banks, beg for them, carry your children, your mother, your dog, your land papers, and everything. In cryptocurrency, you now only need to carry your idea well-formed, verifiable, because these are computers and AI that's verifying the numbers that you use. So it's just a matter of having complete access to the numbers that is necessary. But just everyone said it. But we talk about this the easiest part, but when you talk about the complete national development of our country, and these
Yeah.
third parties and these titles, like for instance, these 29 titles that the Progressive Bill have, I have put those 29 ministers' position into for an analysis and found out that 16 of them actually conflict with each other, where a little bit is over here and a little bit over here. And so there's no synchronicity, which again brings us to this thing of fire hosing, gaslighting, reverse gaslighting, and gish gallop, right? These are all psychological things that it would be insane. But let me show you an example when we talk about this airport in Grand Bahama, or we talk about these airports in the Old Island. Let's use Grand Bahama as an example. $250 million is needed for an airport. You could go right now today, and we've had it already. We raised the $250 million. The problem is never raising the $250 million. The problem is we couldn't show them where the revenue was going to come from to pay for the $250 million. That's why that deal didn't go through. And here's the problem with that. My wife wrote about this book December of last year or something. If you go and get this airport, the only way for the airport on Grand Bahama or any other island to be profitable is for pass through the airport. Let's use Grand Bahama as an example. You need, for the airport price we're paying, we need $250,000. In Cat Island, you need 30,000 people, right? Hold on a second. You need 3,000 rooms, sorry. Grand Bahama, you need 25,000 rooms. For the pass through for the people to stay, because they're going to fly in to sleep in the bushes or in the car. We may do it, but they won't. It's the same thing for Cat Island. You need 3,000 people to fly into the Cat Island to pay for that airport. But the problem is that no one is talking about where these 3,000 people will stay. Where will these 25,000 people or 1 million people per year in Grand Bahama will stay? Then you have to ask, what about the energy support for that? What about the hospital support for that, for those million people? What about the policeman support for that? Oh yes, you're gonna need about 60,000. You're gonna need 60,000 workers. Where they gonna stay? So when you can't talk, so when they talk about, oh, we're gonna have an airport which could be the revitalization. Why haven't the airport in 30 years in the Bahamas revitalized a single island? Because you haven't put the fullness of what is necessary. And we allow leadership, these 5-year celebrities with soundbite governance, to keep repeating these things to us over and over and over again. And so the problem I have is with third parties is
okay. I think you're about to go into where I was gonna.
Because I was about to ask a question.
Yeah.
Right. The third parties allow these becomes distraction from us focusing on these major parties, or if the third party bring the statements that's happened. Let me just say,
what if the third party wins though? What if the people decide that we are going to go in the third direction? Then what happens?
Right, because it will never happen, because you must first say you cannot manage what you cannot measure, and you cannot measure what you refuse to acknowledge. No one in the third party can tell you what the problems are they're trying to solve.
Yeah, but so that won't stop people from voting for them if they just
correct. Especially if people feel
like, I'm saying to you, I don't care what you say. You must get to 27% of the population. I put to you, we don't have that much stupid people. I
know some guys in here who are different with you.
No, I talk about cumulatively. See, because you can fool some of the people. You can fool some of the people most of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. See, don't confuse anger politics. See, the question I ask you is this. Now, mind you, there's no third party form in the Bahamas since 2003 that I wasn't a founder of, including the Coalition of Independence.
Okay.
So you founded the coalition?
When you go listen to the Coalition of Independence, I want you to go and listen to all of their voice notes and see who did all the talking. When Lincoln Bain says, and the investigators are now in England, let's pay the investigators. That's my voice. Go and listen to the sign. Go listen to everything. The fact they're now being manipulated to give a different message doesn't change the fact that I knew what I was talking about. They today can't even listen to my message that they have the full tape off and repeat it in their own words. How stupid you could be.
So you believe in the third option?
Right.
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, literally, I was about to say the same thing, Dyson.
Okay. You believe in the third option. You believe that there needs to be,
For you started it.
yeah.
But see, the third option
Wait,
is a
can you
movement.
answer that
See,
though?
yes,
Can you
no, I'm saying
answer
to you,
that? So are you
no,
saying that you
listen to me.
started the coalition of
Our
independence?
constitution doesn't allow for third parties. Forget the fantasy. See, you can't give me a false choice. You can't. Our party has government and opposition.
What's your
Period.
party?
Okay, I
No, I don't have
understand
a
what you're saying.
party, but
I
no,
understand,
Well,
but
since
I'm
right here, right?
you moving the
what
conversation into a
right.
different
No, I'm
into
saying
a
you
different
there
space.
is no third party. Well, there nor will there ever be a third party in the Bahamas.
Now you're
We are
contradicting
moving.
yourself now, Mr. Johnson, because you just
What
said
I said to you,
you
I
said there
said
hasn't been no party that you haven't started, including the
right because they didn't
coalition of
start a
independence.
party. I didn't. They didn't start a party. They start as the forum for like this. See,
As
the one thing that
lobbyists.
hasn't changed is this alliance for change hasn't changed.
They
I
start as
brought them
right.
information that they never had before. But
Mhm.
what you have is in the Bahamas, we have people who have ambition greater than their ability. And so what happens is I've learned in the Bahamas, going all the way back to 2003, that we really do govern by majority rule. And the more idiots you become as part of the group, you become a minority. And I always leave.
So you don't think
That,
based on like I listened to a lot of stuff that you had to say, and some of the things you said that stood out to me was the value the Bahamas had back then versus the billions it's worth now. And just thinking of that and the place where minimum wages in the Bahamas and such, for the Bahamian people, and we've had the two parties, the FNM, the PLP. So, with all that information that you gave, can't you see why some people may be so frustrated to the point where they want to cling on someone like Lincoln Bain, who is able to give them some sort of new hope of a different way?
yes, I do. And this is why my job is to ignore the idiots and get the few to be the example. More so because the things I spoke about, let's use the blockchain. If you go, there's billions of people on the blockchain today. If you go back to the blockchain and we have to extrapolate the wallet numbers for the blockchain, my number would be 65. Okay? 65.
Okay.
There's billions. Okay? This is
Wow.
not new to me. Go to my page and you'll find 95% of everything that the political parties have said in the last 15 years is on my page, years before they became words. See, the problem is there's a concept that we have, right? And we are very, 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 very good at doing this in the Bahamas, right? And I do this. And I wrote these 6 words down. We get fascinated by people who tell us who, people who tell us what, people who tell us when, people who tell us where, people who tell us why, and people who tell us which.
Agreed.
But the
Agreed.
one thing we never ever demand from them is the
How?
how.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That is when we start asking for the how, all of these people fall apart. And this is why, like Lincoln Bain and all these other third parties, the minute you start asking them the how, their job is to get the members within their party to convince that you are co-conspirating with the other two parties they after, and they've paid you off. They'll tell you, you are so broke, see, Alan, you're walking, dragging foot, and dragging the kids, catching bus. But we know that the party that paid you $200 million to go against us.
I mean, so then but my question for you is, because we also talking about how, Bahamians don't like to work together, right? So if you can agree that there's frustration with Bahamian people because of the parties that they've had before, you can agree that yes, you can understand why
Yes,
people would want to cling to Bain. Okay. So even if he doesn't know the how, like what you're asking, but you know the how, then why y'all can't work together then?
because his thing is
Automatic
this:
cabinet minister.
sit down and shut up and don't correct all the lies I've told.
Damn.
Don't correct the lies I've told. See, because I can't see. He told you you can have wealth without work. I'm telling you, you got to work. You see, that's a contradiction. See, I see what happens is
But don't you think that could
no,
be a
but
space for conversation though?
no, no.
I
See, you
mean, but
can't.
asking like,
You have you
what
ever
you
I
mean
started
don't
by
to?
think
that?
Have
so.
you ever? Have you ever tried to speak to a narcissist? You should you should go talk to Lincoln Bain and ask him
Can't,
why don't he
can't,
submit to a
I
group
saw
of people
that.
that know.
I saw that.
You
I
rang?
saw that. I saw
Wait.
that. I saw that. You
Now
will.
what
So
you
You
see
will.
now,
You will pay for that, sir. I saw that.
but let me say to her, right? Let me take you back to what I said about businesses in the Bahamas, right? I heard you talk about not coming to the Bahamas. If I was advising the government, do you know what I would offer you? I would offer you a house in the Bahamas that you within
wait.
your pay
You
range
said
and
you
range it
hold on. You said you heard me say what? I'm sorry.
about not being able to get compensated to make you want to
Oh
come
yes,
home. I could.
yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
I
That's right.
could.
Yes.
What
You
if
could
I
what?
just tell you what if I tell you that you could come home and I can give you one of those billings? Or without that, let's talk about your house. I said you as
Mm,
part of your compensation.
yes.
I'll give you, I'll give you, and tokenization can do this. I'll give you that $500,000 your house you have
Hmm.
for interest rate equal to what for interest of $100 per year
Okay.
as your compensation package.
Okay.
That can be done today. And guess what? Do you
How?
know?
See,
No, I can explain
I'm
to
a
you.
how type of person.
Okay, good. I going to tell you because you challenged me. Okay, good. Now let's use a $300,000 house, right?
Yes.
Just as example. See, because I just explained you, I gave you a $300,000 loan
Hmm.
for a government house. The payment. No, let me see. Let me see. I'm trying to find a figure that's good for me to do in my head.
You
Let's
give
go with
me
two
a
hundred
loan.
thousand dollars.
Okay.
Two hundred
Uh-huh.
thousand dollars. Make this make believe. You can always double it, whatever. You got a $200,000 house, right? And I gave you the house for $20,000 a year. I give it you 6% interest, 15 years. Just make believe, right? So you're
Okay.
making your $1,600 a month payment. After the first, every time you make your payment, you know you build a little bit of equity in it, right?
Right.
Hmm.
After the first year payment, you have about $13,000 worth of equity. I just told you that you can lend me your equity because I'm the bank now. Again, I'm the tokenization bank,
Hmm.
right? I am the nascent bank or the neo bank or non-bank, whatever you want to call it. So every time you build that $13,000 worth of equity, you would allow me to tokenize that for you. I now lend that over 6% for you because I have a special trust just for you. And
Hmm.
then the
Mm.
next year, you got another $30,000. I lend it out for you. You keep making your $1,600 a month payment. At the end of your payment, right, you would
Hmm.
find out that you've paid maybe about $100,000 worth of interest, but
Right.
you have earned $98,000 worth of interest in return. So when you divide that for the 15 years, you paid $100, $150 a year in interest. So in essence, your house was interest free as part of
Yeah.
that. But tokenization gives you so much more variation of that. And we don't have a money problem in the Bahamas. We have a leadership problem that doesn't understand the methods and the tools we've used is 25 years old. And so this is why financial services and banking, why else you can have $3.5 billion in the bank and nobody can lend for it? Because why would you want to have $3.5 billion in the bank? Why would you want to have $4 billion in the bush? And why would you want to have $60 billion in equity latent in a country that has not grown 6% per year when the very tool you created in 2020 was an open door for which quadrillions of dollars is now flowing through? How much is flowing
Okay.
through yours? A
I,
million,
I have
Okay,
two
Mr.
I,
million?
I
Johnson.
have a how question.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
How do you get BPL to stop turning these lights off?
I saying.
Okay, very easy. You see
Because
those? You know what you
I'm
do?
doing my
Oh
lesbian
Very
Lord.
walk.
easy. Very easy.
Oh,
Oh,
look at
remember I said to you,
nonsense. Oh,
okay, I
it's so
said to you
cool in here.
that BPL was a
So cool in here.
scam, right? There, see, the first thing for you to have energy to fix energy. Understand there will be no technology to happen in the Bahamas without energy. Now let's listen to this carefully. How do you have a price reduction when you don't have a consumption reduction? You got people living in houses, energy is flowing out the windows, out the doors, through the attic, and everything else. You must first have a national energy reduction strategy first, right? Secondly, what you need is dynamic microgrids. There is more. They said you need 5 miles of rooftops to provide 100% of the energy you need during the daytime in the Bahamas. 5 square miles. You could verify it yourself. South Beach, low water. You get 25% generation increase in capacity if you go to South Beach and put them over the water. but we have more than 5 square miles of roofs in the Bahamas. So
Wow.
when you create smart grid, a microgrid type environment, first you reduce let's say we're using the 200 megawatts we use. Let's try to reduce that down to 150 so we don't need as many things that we want. And so now what you do is you put microgrids. This is even easier on the outer islands and Grand Bahama, whatever. But you allow these microgrids, these dynamic microgrids, which is controlled by computers and AI, that understands the needs, the demands, the flows, and everything else in real time, and just let people put solar in their yard, on their roofs, and everything else. You
But
could
Mr. Allen,
generate.
oh boy, did I say your lights off? Oh, okay, that's only
Go,
cat.
go ahead. Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
So, with all this wealth of information, in your opinion, do you think the people of the Bahamas is ready to receive all this information, though? This whole
Well, I only
process.
need. No, they may not be right, but you know what I want to do,
Mm,
and people think that I want to make the prison more comfortable for them. This is why I supported Michael Pintat housing program. I
mm,
want you to understand. Listen to me carefully. The international people said we need 4,000 homes, housing units. Now, housing units is not home ownership. We need 4,000 housing units a year to be built in the Bahamas to meet our break-even point. We
right.
cannot produce the 4,000, and we have leadership saying 1,000 a year is a fantasy. International people said that. Now, think about this. You got 7,000, let's put it at 2,000 contractors on this island. You're trying to tell me they can't build one house a year each, two houses a year each, three houses a year each?
Absolutely.
So, no, no. So, guess what? My wife and I have written about this for 7 years. We've said in the newspaper, we do not have a housing problem, housing crisis. We have a housing affordability crisis because I will
Absolutely.
not go build houses if nobody can afford to buy them from me. So it's not a
Right.
building problem.
Right.
So
Hmm.
now, but here's what happens. Do you know the same government home, forget the government concessions of the land that was promised as part of the F&M platform and everything to bring a $200,000 house down to 130. I want to stick to the $200,000. Pretend that we have incompetent government and people who will always believe that they don't deserve anything. This government right now could start a sovereign trust. There's 4 different methods of this, which you hear Lincoln Bain talk about. Ask Lincoln to explain to you what a SAME is. Ask him to explain what a SAME is. Ask him to explain truly what a sovereign fund is and what a sovereign trust is. A SAMA is a Sovereign Asset Management Authority. SAME is a Sovereign Asset Management Entity. Then you have the Sovereign Wealth Trust and the Sovereign Wealth Fund. They all work together. They talk all about Singapore and all these other places, and they never went once to study because they just want to appeal to your anger. So what I'm simply saying is this: if the government was to start a sovereign asset management authority and give me the ability to build homes, let's say 100,000, 200,000, those same 1,200 foot people houses, the government charges them $1,600 a month. Do you know I can charge them $1,000 a month and make a profit?
Hmm.
How?
The very same houses. Now, I can charge them less if they give me the land. And I don't want them to give me the
Mm.
land like they talk about, oh, we're going to give everybody crown land. We need to stop that foolishness. The Bahamas could be around for a long time. You give Bahamas crown land, I say, if Lincoln being at one, get in the crown land, I would have finally had a way to get all of it. Because I'd go all see land, this fantasy that land is wealth is garbage. It's land when it could be utilized with access to capital
Yeah.
as well. But I
Hmm.
would have went to all of it. Mind you, the average, I would these Bahamians don't understand. The average crown land, when you look at the entire Bahamas, which is less than 1 million we have left, is actually $2,000 an acre without infrastructure. So this fantasy, but you won't get crown land. So I would go to all of them and offer them $2,100 for their 2,000 piece of land, and I eventually will have all the crown land because I just keep tokenizing everything until I become the greatest land master in town. So, but what I'm simply saying is this: we form what is called a leasehold, right? A leasehold where the government moves towards eventually acquiring 75% of all the land in the Bahamas and keep it as a leasehold, like Atlantis and all the rest of them. You could use it for 99 years, whatever, make you money. So we need to stop giving freehold and move towards leasehold and copyhold and all these different things we don't talk about. But if the government now give me a leasehold in the inner city, go and take a block, give it to me. I go build 2, 3, 400 homes. I don't have to pay for the land. They say because you agree to keep this housing at a certain price, we'll give you use of the land for 50 years or whatever. I could bring that thing down. We cry about shanty towns. We cry about the slums. If I am in the inner city offering, let's use an example for mother and kids, a 3-bedroom, 2 bath, $1,000 a month, which actually gives her reduced electricity because it's a passive house and everything, right? $1,000 a month. Do you think that slum could continue being there? Do you think the shanty town could continue to being there? Because you'd be crazy to go pay $1,200 for a slum, and you could get this state of the art apartment complex from me. See, these are self correcting if you understand the whole problem in the context that it is. But you
Nice.
also talked about this prison. I'm simply saying is this: empower people will change their mindset. For those of us that's aware and not afraid of risk and understand management, let's go build our $1 million to sustain the prison for those who don't want to leave it. Because we're going to need them to clean up and do some things around things to Dyson and the rest of us. We're not going to run around and clean up the country where everything else. So if they don't want to own, we got to at least give them an opportunity.
Mr. Johnson, I want to, you've been going for a minute now. I just want to ask you, I was going to say one marching order, but I think I would give you 3 because you said so much. If there's 3 things that the common man can do to, I wouldn't say change, let's say better accomplish what it is the Bahamas needs to make it not a country where 60 to 70% of the population is living in poverty. What are those 3 marching orders? Very simple things that they can do starting tomorrow. What would you say?
Send me your children under the age of 25 and tell them you give them permission to tell me, you give me permission to tell them not to listen to them.
Hmm?
Lend me your children, and you tell them whatever I say, including not to listen to their parents.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can progress. For those that
one.
wants to understand, I'm about to begin a full series because now the gate and the wall, the fence for financing for Bahamians is now not there. I'm saying to them, listen to me within the next 2 to 3 weeks, and maybe we'll have some co-shows. I have a show coming to begin. It's called What's Now, What's New, and What's Next, where we begin to talk about the 45 economy models. I'm going to take you through the whole process. And this is a pitch for those that want to go for home ownership and even for ownership in the bed and breakfast. From a personal perspective, I have rates starting from, depending on the day you call me, right? It'll be, if you pull the thing, you may get $0 for the full class. You may get $25 a month for the class. You may get $100 a month for the class. And the way it works is that it depends on the day you personally call me, and I can't tell you what day it is. The day you call me is going to be whether you pay 0, 25, or 100. And I will take you. Now, guess what I say to you for the classes? Every single one of the people who want to learn from me, I will charge you a fee. And on the day you graduate, I'll give you 100% of your money back. Guess what the fee is for? I don't have time to waste. So if 6 months later, 4 months later, 3 months later, you say, this ain't for me, I'm going to spend your money. All I'm saying is,
Fair enough.
give me the $100 a month, and when the day you graduate, I'll give you back 110% of your money. Right? Because when you graduate, you would have moved into the business aspect that I want to take you. But if you want to come skylarking and you don't have commitment, you will be making a donation to my Get Rich Club.
All right, Mr. Johnson. I'm gonna challenge you again. I still didn't get what I was looking for.
I'm saying to you,
yes,
the class.
we would
The
definitely
challenge is
we do the class,
no.
but hold on now. We're talking about the common man. We're talking about 60 or 70% of Bahamians living in poverty. They can't afford $100 a month, even if they do not want to waste your time.
But that ain't for them.
Okay, good.
What
you know what I can tell them?
Hold on, let me ask you this. What do the people that now are captured by Mr. Bain and the COI's campaign that you speak about, what do those people, what is an alternative that they can do that can make the Bahamas a better place? What give me one step, one thing.
No, for the coalition fanatics, right? Let's get back to them. They're still, look at how much voted for them, and let's focus on the other 375,000. Okay? Because I'm simply saying to them is that you don't go to the hardest, you don't go to the hardest aspect. Let's start at the low fruit for those who are willing to open their mind and learn. Now,
So the people who didn't
my
come to the
program,
polls, you want to speak to them?
I want to speak to people who even voted FNM and PLP for whatever reason it is. But I'm saying to you, there's some hardcore PLP, FNMs, and coalition. I don't even want to try, right?
Okay.
I
So the
need them
people
to wake up.
who you want to try with, what can they do?
I want the willing. They can reach out to me, right? At 825 242 825 9700. I'll direct them to the other links. But when you say about paying, you have to go into a financial program with us. It's not run by me, it is run by AI. Okay? The AI will evaluate everything it knows about the Bahamas, everything it knows about you, where you are, and where you need to be. And the AI, authentic agentic agent, will talk to you on a daily basis if you're honest with them and take you from where you are to where you want to be. I
Okay.
will exempt people from having to pay that fee, right? Or I may even drop it from $100 to $5 or $10 or whatever it is. But the beauty about it is that I don't need to track you. AI will. So when AI tells me you're off course or you're not doing whatever, this is where you say, I want the willing, right? So if you're willing to follow the routine and take a class, not just an understanding, say, hospitality, but understanding the new environment of tokenization and other things that is happening. Because you have these, I send it to you with these 45 different economic models to find out not just from hospitality, but where you could fit in into any of these other 45 different models. And
Okay.
we would profile you using AI, things that I couldn't do before 5 years ago, right? What I was paying for AI, I am so in love with November of 2022 because when they came to the public, the 10 of us was no longer paying for AI. There was millions paying for AI, so the cost for me has been reduced substantially. Okay, so when AI was still in the foundational model, now it's in the frontier model. There wasn't millions of people on it, all paying a portion of upkeep in these data centers and all these other different things. And
Okay.
so this is the change. So I'm saying to you, I am not doing it. I will put you into my program. I will guide you from where you are to where you need to be. And if you want to follow the instructions, not yours, ours, then I will take you on board. But I am not going to fight with anyone to say, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. You follow where you want. And those that want to go can go.
Mr. Johnson, my question to you is why anybody need to come to you if they could just go to AI for themselves, though?
Because AI gives slop. That's the beauty about this, right? Garbage in, garbage out. In
You say
fact,
because
AI
what?
is teaching.
Garbage in,
AI
garbage
gives
out.
slop, garbage
GIGO.
slop.
Mhm.
In fact, go
You have
on
to
the
know how to.
internet right now. I have been watching for 4 years. You'll see me haven't really posted, right? I've
Mhm.
been watching Facebook, TikTok. Guess what? All Bahamians now sound alike
Yeah.
You mean on
because
their
they all,
on their social medias?
yes, because they're all feeding from the same slop. And the thing about agentic, I mean about Anthropic, and about OpenAI and the rest of them. Do you know they have now began to can us in an area, and so now AI is getting slop from our slop. I would never depend. I actually, when I use I ring fence information from the Bahamas out. Except if I get data in the Bahamas, I take it out of here and then carry it to where I am because it is that much AI slop. 90, if you even see companies, just Google it. About 90% of the companies that have invoked AI is now leaving it. It's not me. This is studies
Yeah,
by
I've seen that.
Boston Group and the rest of them.
I've seen that.
Because AI has become slop because we haven't reached to the other phase. I've been in AI for 30 years.
Mhm.
We have not reached to that point right now. So every single day, people are coming to this cup you want to drink from, spitting in it. And and
hmm
and that's
So
what you're getting.
so how is yours different? How is
AI,
your AI different?
because
Prompting.
I'm a container. I'm in a container.
Oh, you just
I
mean the
had
questions and the instructions are different. Is that it?
Yeah, no. I don't even use their databases. I don't share my information for training. I collect data and take it into my room. With people who knows me, people who hear me on the radio and television, I've been quoting figures, dates, times, and everything. I am a
Mm.
autodidactic
Yeah, no problem.
polymath, right? But I don't have what's that thing, the memory, photographic memory, like Rodney Moncur and some other people have. I have what is called instant recall. I can remember things we've said. In fact, this conversation, if you come to me in about a year and ask me what this conversation and trigger me, I can tell you verbatim what was said. So I've been repeating things in our public domain, on my pages and everything, without AI for 30 years. So I'm not going to go into this dark room where all of these idiots I talk about is standing there with clubs.
I totally get
And
what
they,
you said, Mr. Johnson. I only need one thing from you. I need you to stand in the midst of all the arguments I have with my girlfriend, which are total recall, because I just need that information months and years later to be able to
but you learn that.
to win
But
that
no,
debate.
but let me tell you this. Can I say to you that you learned this? My twin and I have an identical twin. My
Mhm.
twin and I have cousins and family. We all, in fact, from time I'm 63 now. When I was even a young person, do you know my family required us all to at least do is get a degree? And they says if you decide to be a criminal or whatever you want to be, and you fail at it, you need to have that degree to fall back on. And and we all did, but they taught us. And I have enough to make a basketball team and a football team with the children. I've never spent a dollar for university fee. The same thing with my identical twin. Never for anything else. I am 63. My current wife and my final wife is 30 years old. We have a 9-year old, a 5-year old, and a 2-year old. The 9-year old is in the 10th or 11th grade. The 5-year old is in the second, going into the third grade. And the 2-year old is going into the first grade. These are learned behavior.
Mm.
I did the same thing for my other kids before I came home to the Bahamas 23 years ago. The problem is that a small group of people seek out these methods or processes and they learn it. In fact, we even get pulled in when they go to these Ivy League school. That's why the majority of the people who become success in Ivy League schools are the ones who drop out. They learn fast enough to get the idea of what you need to think. That's where the book Think and Grow Rich comes from. To think and grow rich as opposed to fit into some system. Because you could have riches actually. The book name should be Think and Grow Wealthy. Because the difference between rich and wealth is rich is where you have to go to work every day to maintain it. Wealth is where you don't go to work and it is what it is. And so what we have to do is we have to learn wealth without risk. And it's a learning process, but the hardest thing is letting go of what you think you know. And
Mr.
we will
Mr.
just
Johnson,
end
I'd
it
like to
with that.
thank you so much. This has been way more information than I believe any one of the four of us would be able to retain in this segment. I definitely have to go back into the show and make some clips to provide the segment this stuff for everyone
But
else.
yeah,
Go, but go
if
ahead.
you don't
I
get
give
that
you a moment
we
to wrap
went
up.
over so much. Sorry, I'm saying
Go
we
ahead.
went over so much, right? If you take a point and you ask me within the next week to 2 weeks, I have no problem in starting and saying it again in fullness so we can break it down because it is about a learning process. I enjoy your show and I hope to be on it a few more times. And then what we could do is we could set some time
Awesome.
block. Okay, we can talk about this for 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. And
That's a good idea.
so,
Nice.
so we can do it again, and I can give you a list of things, and you say, "Okay, Seattle, thank you for the list of things," and we're giving you 7 minutes, and then you put a little timer to the bottom and says, "You better go research on how you're going to say this for 7 minutes because we can't." How you say next topic, next topic, next topic?
I
Because we have
like
a
your
lot to do,
awareness. I like your
right?
awareness.
Yeah.
We have a lot to do about what we want to do, and we want people like you that's outside of the Bahamas because we need more of us to guide those that not be aware as us. And so what
Hmm.
it is, like I say, is empowerment. That's what we tell you in the ending. Bahamians love to copy.
Let me get one
Open
timer for
one.
you.
Okay, good. Open one bar and hey, if I wanted to help everybody clean up the Bahamas, I would walk downtown all over Nassau, pick up cans and bottles, and then I'll buy me a Rolls Royce, and everybody will walk around town, pick up cans and bottles because Bahamians like to copy. So I'm saying to you,
We call that like your mind.
So what I'm saying to you is
That's
that
what we
if
do.
we become success, right, a small
Uh-huh.
group of us, right, they're gonna copy us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
if we double every day, 5 becomes 20, becomes 10, becomes 20, and so on, you'll be amazed in less than a year that we'll cover the entire Bahamas. Or if the 5 of us
Mm.
influence 5 people, if you go 5 times 5 to 5 to 5 to 16,500. So if each of us only take 5 people who really want to learn, I teach you, and the teacher teach the teachers, and you teach 5 more, you'll be amazed at 16,000 you one could reach. And if we do that, then we could reach the entire Bahamas eventually. And there's still going to be some people that we have to drag along. But hey, we say for those that we want to remain in the prison, let's, those of us that's aware, make it as comfortable as they can for them to be prisoners in their own country. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else have any final words?
No, I just glad someone else shared our abandoned ship concept like me.
Mm.
Simple as that. Listen, Mr. Allen, me and Kent Bazard, the one in the darkness down there.
Not the darkness.
I had to get him back for that one. But we always strictly believe in, we hang around like-minded people. You know what I mean? We conversate with like-minded people. You
Converse.
cannot wait. Okay, that too. You cannot waste time, energy, and resources with people that don't want to learn. You have to know when to cut them loose, or you will sink with them. Straight like that. Tyson Knight. We've
Anyone
been
else?
telling you this.
Yep. Yeah, man. I listen. A lot of things that is said. First of all, for those of you just that are watching, this is not a political show.
No.
We don't talk politics often, even, but we got into politics because there was a recent election, and then all of these things, and it just trickled on, and now we're talking with C. Allen Johnson, and this.
Someone went viral on this show. We ain't calling his name. You can't see him. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And
But
even this
Dyson-
conversation is about the advancement of the Bahamas.
Right.
Yes, Mr. Zia, Mr. Johnson. You got 2 minutes.
No, I'm saying, let me give my number 242-825-9700. 242-825-9700. For those who don't believe, I'll give 10 minutes trying to convince you before I cut you off. But I will direct you the way you need to go learn on your own.
242
825
825
9700.
9700.
9700.
Just WhatsApp me, message me. I'll give you whatever you need to learn. But if you want to argue that it ain't real, I will argue you for about 10 minutes before I
Yeah.
return you to the darkness.
There you go.
Not the
Like
darkness.
the one to the bottom. Right to the darkness. Yeah,
Some of us had no choice but to be in the darkness.
I'm saying.
The BPL ain't on my run at all today.
not at all.
My Lord. Okay, so
I hear
all right,
doing a
so-
show by flashlight.
Wow, dedication. I like
Fred
it.
in the Black King. Check him out.
Thank you, BPL. Lovely people at BPL. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Yeah, man.
it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Got your
I'm sure they're working
flag.
feverishly to correct that problem. All right, so that's the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. Make sure that you like and subscribe, not just the Sup'm Show, but also C. Allen Johnson. Find him on Facebook. I think he's on many platforms. He was on TikTok watching us when we did the Lincoln Bain show, and as well. And for those of you who are on TikTok, JP has a brand new page called J.Live. Is that it?
Come on, man. Get it right.
You can't even. What is it? JP.live.
That's it, man. Get it right. Come on, man. Don't
Okay,
be don't.
JP.live. He don't have enough followers for people to see this.
One more thing.
Say to see this. Hey.
They gotta see this. One more
This
thing.
This guy.
Would you be interested in having a casual conversation with Mr. Lincoln Bain, link up on the same show at the same time?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Just a question.
And with timers. Yes or no?
Silence is confirmation. He might be frozen.
No,
PPM
man.
might
He
have
ain't
him in
free.
the dance.
He ain't free.
So,
I thought he was frozen. I thought he was frozen.
No, sir. No, it's all right. It's all right. Go ahead.
Wait a minute now. Hold on now. Because
No, you
I'm
gotta think.
saying,
You gotta think.
but
You gotta
no,
think about
The
it.
no,
show
because
over.
for
Goodness gracious, we
someone,
walking on 2 hours.
he came with a whole lot of energy. So that should have been a yes, of course. No problem. I'm down for it. I don't understand the hesitation.
The hesitation is he's already explained it. He doesn't feel as though the conversation. Well, he probably already knows how the conversation is going to go.
How?
You
If it
must
ain't never happened.
agree. There must be an agreement for moderation. There has
That's
to be
it.
there has to be a moderator,
And
and
time.
everybody has to follow the moderator or timer, however you want to put it.
Yes.
There has to be moderation. Yeah.
That would be
I'll
great.
figure out how
That's
to do
great.
that.
That's good. That's good. That's good media, man. Come on, let's make it happen.
I'll figure out how to do that. Mr. C. Allen Johnson, thank you again for joining us on the
Yeah.
Sup'm Show. We do hope
See
that
if you
all
get
of
some of them ministers for me.
All right.
29. All right. Well, yeah. Should I still do this?
What?
We
There
don't
was
even know what
something.
you're
There was
talking
something
about
that we. Boy. Let me see. Let me see if I can do it quickly.
This
Okay.
boy. Oh, Jesus.
I don't get it. Yes,
Oh,
that's
yeah. How silly can you be, right?
All right, so yeah, let's talk about this. We'll talk about this probably in the next show, and spin off from there. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you very much. The Sup'm Show, y'all. We out.
Yeah, please.